And stay tuned as Dave and I break down the football weekend on ProLine.
Hi, everybody. Direct from Las Vegas, it's ProLine, the longest-running sports handicapping show in America. I'm Dave Cokin, joined by Jim Feist. Going to take a look at some college football bowl games, plus Week 16 of the NFL. Before we do that, Jim, if people subscribe to the channel, it's free, and they get great stuff for free as well.
Absolutely. Just go to ProLineTV.com, click on the subscribe button. You'll get notifications on new videos, plus you'll be sent a code to get 7 days of my service absolutely free. That's ProLineTV.com.
All right, before we take a look at this week's ProLine poll question of the week, we should mention that our audience was right on the nose last week with the poll question. They voted Gus Bradley as the next NFL coach to be fired, and of course, apparently the owner of the show was one of the voters, because he canned him after they lost to the Texans. So kudos to all of you for being right. And now this week's poll question, speaking of the Jaguars' loss to the Texans, in that game, Texans finally said enough with Brock Osweiler, put him on the bench in the second quarter, brought in Tom Savage, and given the and they won the game. So Savage is going to be starting this week. And given the underwhelming results of a number of quarterbacks going into Week 16, we asked our audience, which NFL starting quarterback do you think deserves to be benched next? We threw 4 choices out there: Trevor Siemian, Sam Bradford, Carson Wentz, and Andy Dalton. And the winner is?
The winner is 42% voted for Sam Bradford. Actually, I disagree. I don't think any of them should be benched or pulled or left go or anything. And the reason I say that is because who are you going to replace them with?
Paxton Lynch isn't ready yet for Denver.
No.
I don't think it matters with the Vikings. They're out of the playoff race now, so what the heck?
Well, I remember when they...
But would they at some point... some people will say, you know, Sean Hill's got a pretty good record as a starter. The team's going real bad. Bradford is not doing anything. Maybe we should give him a shot. I can't argue against that.
But they're not going anywhere.
No.
And Sean Hill's been around forever.
And he's a backup.
He's capable, but he's a backup. Bradford, with the proper offensive line and running game, he still is a starter. Now, I remember when they went to Philly and got Bradford, I told you that I felt that was a terrible, and you agreed, it was a terrible
awful trade for the
and they gave way too much away.
Way too much.
But I
and
told
that's
you,
even with Bridgewater probably out next year.
I mentioned a fellow to you at the time, Savage. And because I liked the way he played in Houston, I thought he got screwed down there. I'm not a Bill O'Brien fan. I don't think he can coach at this level. And I felt the way he handled the quarterbacks the previous year, Savage should have had a shot. Now he has a shot. He looks pretty good. He's got a bigger arm. He's accurate. Much better than Osweiler. I paid a fortune for that kid. Probably would have done better if he stayed in Denver with their system. Sometimes it's a system that makes the player. However, I don't feel there's anybody out there, and this is the mess we have in the NFL right now. It's a B league. It's not an A league anymore. It's a B league. There are no replacement quarterbacks coming out of college that are ready to play at the pro level unless you get a tremendous offensive line like you have in Dallas with a great running game. Then you can have a Dak Prescott come out and look really good. But if he was put on a team, let's say he went to Minnesota, he wouldn't be doing what he's doing.
No.
So what we're failing to see in the NFL is you can't pay all this money to these quarterbacks and expect them to do everything. Need an offensive line. You need a running back. You need maybe several running backs. You need to be able to control the clock, control the time of possession. Of course, you need defense.
And the other thing is that quarterbacks have generally never been ready for the NFL right away.
Very few.
Very few rookie quarterbacks go out there and look like veterans.
Andrew Luck did pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to Brady, and he sat most
right.
his first year till Bledsoe got hurt. But these guys don't. Peyton Manning even wasn't that good his first year.
Look at how Wilson came out of college. He did great.
Yep.
But let's talk about that. What did he have? Marshawn Lynch, a fabulous offensive line and an unbelievable defense. He was making $600,000 a year in the rookie contract. 3 years. They were fantastic.
But he's also a better quarterback now than he was then.
But he doesn't have the tools.
No.
The offensive line is junk. The replacement quarterback or running back is not anywhere near Marshawn Lynch. although he's highly touted, he hasn't produced. Why? The offensive line. You need to go back to basic football. Quarterbacks cannot do it all by themselves. And the press, the media.
And the other thing is this, and I
pay
think
them
this
$17 million a year is ridiculous.
This is a pretty valid point, is that there are so few teams in college playing pro systems now.
That's right.
They've even got a bigger learning curve.
Yes.
So you get a guy like, and we'll use Paxton Lynch as an example. I think Paxton Lynch is going to be a good NFL quarterback someday. He's got all the tools to be a good quarterback, but he's so completely unfamiliar with the NFL system. I mean, put him out there right now, he looks like he's in the wrong league.
Pretty horrible, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this kid can play, but it's a very difficult position to play, and they're not getting. And then I'm not blaming this on the colleges because the college coaches are trying to win football games and the spread offense works better.
A few years ago, the NFL had a developmental league.
The D League, yeah.
Yeah. They don't have it anymore.
No.
They need it. They need to develop these players so that we have a higher quality. Of course, this costs money, and they don't like spending money. They don't even spend money on full-time officials, which is bogus. So it starts at the top. The quality of the NFL starts at the top, the leadership and the greed factor. They're making a lot of money, and they really don't care what product they put on the field because they're making a lot of money. It's getting better now because you have a lot of division games. They mean a lot, which is what we're going to talk about here today, the games, some games that actually mean a lot.
All right. Now we want to thank everybody for participating in this week's poll question and remind you that we will post a new Pro-Line poll question every Monday morning on our respective social media networks, and the results will get announced right here on this show.
And if you'd like to send us a suggestion for a Pro-Line poll question of the week, just do it on all the social medias, the direct message on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and we'll get right back to you.
So let's look at one of the bowl games. We will peek to the Independence Bowl. This features ACC versus SEC. North Carolina State against Vanderbilt. Wolfpack are a small favorite here. 4 totals in the low 40s, I believe, 44.
44, yeah.
And, look, this is a typical bowl game in that it doesn't mean anything. And it's two teams that,
Well, it means something to somebody, Dave.
The bettors.
The bettors,
Yes.
and the sponsors that put up all this money. Nobody shows up at these games, by the way.
No, one might. I guess this one might draw a little bit.
Shreveport, Louisiana.
That's the downside. Not a knock on Shreveport, but if it's in a vacation spot like Las Vegas, you're going to get a little bigger attendance.
Right.
Shreveport, I'm not sure quite qualifies. And again, no offense, I've never been to Shreveport. It might be a great place. The game actually looks like a pretty good football game. NC State, statistically, not a bad football team. I think they made some progress this year. Vanderbilt is going to be excited to be here. Not a lot of people projected them to be good enough to even get to a bowl game. So Mason's had a pretty good year coaching this team. I think Vanderbilt, I have a tendency to go with the better defensive teams in these games, particularly if they're decent against the run. And Vanderbilt looks like a little bit of a fit to me. It's not one of my stronger opinions, to be sure, and I'm off to a good start in the Bulls, but I would lean to the Commodores in this one.
I can't disagree. You have two defensive teams here. The offenses on neither team is going to overwhelm you. So I'm looking for a defensive battle. Game obviously doesn't mean anything for a national championship or anything like that. The kids are going to go there, have some fun. I assume you can have some fun in Shreveport. You can have fun anywhere, I think. There's fun places.
Can have fun at Pahrump.
Well, that's a stretch, Dave. They're not holding any bowls this year in Pahrump.
No Pahrump Bowl?
No Pahrump Bowl.
I'm surprised because they're closing in on one for every location.
That's true. I mean, we have a lot, and teams like this, they're both 6-6 on the season straight up. I don't know why we have all these bowls, except that money somehow comes into play.
I love it.
Oh, sure, of course.
From a fan standpoint, I don't love it because the games suck.
But you can beat these things.
But from a betting standpoint, it's more games, there's more opportunities, and hopefully they'll do well.
Open 42.5. We didn't talk too much about the total. Open 42.5. It's up to 44 or 44.5. I totally disagree with those moves. I look at both these teams, underwhelming offenses, overwhelming, very good defenses, especially at this level of competition. I look for these games to go under, this game to go under the total, And I agree with you, Dave. I would not be laying 4.5 points with North Carolina State.
No, I think they've got the better. It's pretty close on defense, but I actually I think I give Vanderbilt a slim edge on defense. The way Shermer, the quarterback, has played down the stretch, Vanderbilt looks like a better team now, considerably better team than I thought they'd be, and than most people thought they'd be, and better as opposed to where they were early in the season. NC State, not so sure. Here's the thing. Sometimes if a team wins the game they want to win, and then has a bowl game after that, they're just not as fired up. North Carolina State beat North Carolina, beat them soundly to end the regular season.
That's a big game for them.
That's the game they wanted.
That's a big game for them. Yep. Teams either progress or regress from September to now December. So I'm looking for Vanderbilt to show up here. I'm looking for both defenses to show up here. Low-scoring game. And if you like parlays, I'd parlay, take the 4.5 and go under 44.5. That's what I like.
There you go. If you want to ask us any Las Vegas sports wagering questions, go to ProLineTV.com and drop us a line. There's no cost involved, obviously. And speaking of not costing anything, this is even better. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to get 7 days of action free.
Plus, go to JimFeist.com for free stats, articles, videos, my free fast facts, and plays from the nation's top handicappers.
When we come back, we will look at the NFL Week 16, and that includes an AFC West game between the desperate Denver Broncos and the kind of slumping maybe a little bit Kansas City Chiefs. Stay tuned. We're going to look at the Chiefs and Broncos in a moment. First, we'll go back a little bit to the last week of NFL action, and we saw some close calls, Jim. Steelers down 20-9 at the half, and they come back and beat the rival Bengals. That was a game Cincinnati was looking at as their Super Bowl because they're not going to be in the playoffs this year. They would have loved to have knocked Pittsburgh off last week. The Packers, they were up 27-10 in the fourth. What a comeback by the Bears. And then Aaron Rodgers worked some magic at the end of the game, and Packers escape with a 3-point win. That turned out to be a hell of a game.
Hell of a game. And then you have to talk a little bit about the way Joe Flacco blew the money for everybody that supported Baltimore last week when they had.
He's become a statue back there, and he's not the quarterback. I never thought he was a great quarterback. I thought he was good, and obviously quarterback the team to a Super Bowl. But we'll see what happens next year. Maybe he'll be better in year two off the injury, but that mobility has got to be a major concern for the Ravens moving forward.
It is. I mean, they have a big game this week. Obviously, they have to play at Pittsburgh, which is a huge game. We know we're talking about the Broncos here and the Chiefs. The Chiefs last week, I felt, blew the game. I thought Andy
Glad
Reid.
they did.
Andy Reid. Yeah. I mean, yes. And the other thing is, I actually bet Tennessee to win that division. I got 9-1 on that early in the season. And they have possibility of doing it, but they're going to need Houston to lose because Houston's undefeated in the division. And now that they switched over to Savage, I'm not so sure about that. But they're playing Cincinnati, who has injury issues, and they, like you said, they played their Super Bowl last week. So they're going to show up.
Houston should win the football game.
Exactly, but the line has gone the other way.
And that's the thing to remember. This is really important if you're handicapping the NFL late in the season. Should win and must win sure doesn't equal will win.
No.
I mean, it's just over and over and over again. You can check the winning. You can actually go back and check this yourself over the last few years. Looking at teams that are in situations where this Team A has got to win this football game and Team B is out of it. Now, it might be different this year. We'll see. But Team B's had the edge in those games over the past years because the lines get inflated. There's a lot of pressure involved. The only problem this year is the teams that are out of it, man, it's not only tough to bet on those teams this year, it's been a really bad bet.
Well, the
Browns and 49ers.
Oh, horrible.
And they've attracted sharp money, particularly the Browns, have gotten sharp money on a regular basis from the numbers guys, and they've gotten their asses handed to them.
This has not been the sharp better.
No, it hasn't.
Because the sharps don't adjust. They're number players. We've talked about this before. They bet numbers. They don't bet teams.
Which usually works.
Those of us who are in this business on this side of it, we realize that you must adjust to the times. But a real math guy can't do that. So he looks at the game and he says, 7, that's a take. I got to take 7. But that isn't this kind of year because the league is down in quality. We're not going to go there again. But when you look at Houston opening this game up at 3, we're kind of going off the tangent here, but open up, and then goes down to 1 against a team that played their Super Bowl last week against Pittsburgh. That don't make sense to me. It really doesn't. Now, when you're talking about...
I'm not taking Cincinnati. I can tell you this. If the Sharps are on Cincinnati, good luck to them. I'm not taking them.
I don't know who's taking 3. I mean, who took the 3? I don't see the value there.
This game, I know... Denver is in trouble. Okay,
I think they're done.
I think they're done too.
I don't.
And I'm not comfortable laying points with Kansas City. I'm probably going to stay out of the game because the Chiefs are not exactly winning their way into the postseason right now. But I think Denver they wanted that game last week against the Patriots, not just for the standings situation, but because it's the Patriots and everybody gets fired up for them, and they just didn't get anything done. The offense is just gone.
Well, let's look at, this is a Super Bowl champion from a year ago. Now, granted, I feel it was maybe the weakest Super Bowl champion I've seen in many, many years. We had a terrible quarterback in Manning, one of the lowest rated quarterbacks in all of football, and they were not that good. But they got fortunate and played Carolina, who was 15-1, had played the weakest schedule in all of football, got into the Super Bowl, and they just could not perform, even against an inferior offensive team like Denver. But their defense stood up, and they won the game. Now, Broncos, very weak on offense again. Simeon, who had experience 0 coming into the year, 1 kneel down before he got into the year. And they have Sanchez there for a while?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that Elway and Kubiak should take all the responsibility for the fall off of this Denver Bronco team and where they are today. They're not getting into the playoffs, and they're going to lose this game to Kansas City. Kansas City's the better team, better talent, better quarterback, better head coach. However, they play too conservatively. They get the lead, and then they sit on the lead and wait for you to catch up.
They're up 14-0 last week.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You got to put the pedal to the metal.
Andy Reid has done this for years. He's got that conservative gene that really cost Marty Schottenheimer years ago. He was the same kind of a guy. Win, win, win all the time. Great coach. But when it came down to the big game, too conservative, that's what happens.
All right. Viewers can get free plays from us right to their cell phone. It is incredibly easy.
That's right. Just text the word GAME, G-A-M-E, to 25827, and we'll send you a free play right to your cell phone right now. GAME, G-A-M-E, to 25827.
When we come back, we're going to continue with some NFL notes. And there's a big showdown in the NFC between the surprising Lions and the Dallas Cowboys. Stay tuned. Okay, so we've got a series of coaching openings in the NFL. Buffalo's probably going to be open. Jacksonville is open. The Rams is open. I'm going to throw a name and a checklist at you, and let's discuss this, because I think that one of the guys who's been out of coaching for a while and has been gracing us with his presence on TV on a weekly basis and doing a great job, by the way, you think this might be the job that lures him back. Checklist. This coach is going to require the following, in my opinion. He's got to go to a team that needs to be rebuilt, but where he wouldn't have to win right away. Number 2, I think it's going to be a very high visibility location, which rules out Jacksonville and Buffalo, but brings into play very much Los Angeles. 3, player personnel control. Gets to make the decisions himself as to who makes the team and who doesn't make the team. 4, huge dollars. I think the owner of the team will make this guy an offer that would make him the highest paid coach in the history of the NFL. 5, he's got to like the quarterback. And if you watch John Gruden's quarterback camp show that he does on ESPN, he likes Jared Goff. I think that all those check marks are fits, and I think if John Gruden is ever going to go back into coaching, I think he will be the coach of the L.A. Rams. And I'm going to go ahead and take a shot and say that Gruden and the Rams are going to be a match and that he's going to leave the broadcast booth and go back to the sidelines. This is, to me, the perfect fit for John Gruden.
I can't disagree. Who else would you say is open for that job?
Well, I think a lot of guys will be open because if you win there.
But other coaches that have been out for a while, which is how you started it off.
I don't think Cowher's ever coming back. I think he's done as a coach.
He likes what he's doing.
I think he likes what he's doing and being a dad and stuff like that. Gruden, I've always felt, if it would only be what to me is the perfect job that offers all those things, control, big dollars, visibility. I mean, and that's not a knock on Gruden. I think he likes the visibility. Guy wouldn't be on TV if he didn't like the visibility. And it's L.A.
When he did the quarterback camp on Jared Goff,
He liked him.
that was before the season.
Yep.
Okay. We've seen Jared Goff now since then, and there's absolutely no one that I have heard that is a football guy that likes him.
But would Gruden look at this as, listen, I can fix this guy? There's going to be, because whoever coaches the Rams, whoever ends up getting that job, is going to, one of his selling points is that I can fix Jared Goff. Now, whether they can or not, I don't know, and I think there's probably a good chance they won't. But the coach, every coach who's applying for that job is going to say, I can fix him. Because the Rams are not going to go out and draft another quarterback after they just drafted Jared Goff. So
for the kind of money that Kroenke would pay, a lot of guys are going to say, "Oh, I can
Sure.
fix him." I'll say I can fix him if he's going to pay me, a ton of money over there. Do I believe it? No, I don't believe it. I don't think he's fixable for the NFL starting position. No, I don't.
if Gruden has changed his mind on Goff, I don't think he would take the job.
But
because that's the thing.
I mean, there's
If
a
you
big
don't-
difference in earning $2 million a year to earning maybe 12 or 13.
Oh, yeah, and I really do think Stan Kroenke, man wants to win. It's L.A. I believe that if it's a name as big as Gruden, this won't be the case if he goes the assistant route with Kyle Shanahan or Josh McDaniels. They're not going to get record-breaking contracts.
please,
but John
don't do
Gruden
that.
would.
Oh, John,
He'd
yes,
get the
he
highest
would.
contract of all time.
Yes, I agree with that. He might do that. He's got to want to live in L.A. That's number one, because he's got a family.
Yep.
And that makes a big difference. A lot of people think about
He's
that.
lived on the West Coast before. He was in Oakland.
It comes down to your wife. What does she want to do? How old are your kids? Do you have to move them out of school? Do you have to relocate? All those things come into play. We don't talk about that much, but believe me, and all you guys out there know that. If you want a happy life, you got to have a happy wife. Remember that?
That's for sure. All right, Lions and Cowboys. The Lions are still 9-5, and they've had a heck of a season. Lost last week to the Giants. That Giants team, that defense, yikes, it's good. The Cowboys just keep winning 12-2. They have not been covering spreads lately, but they are winning games. And aside from the Giants, they are perfect 12-0. Tough to go against this football team. I mean, Tampa Bay comes roaring back in the second half when they're down 17-6, 17-3 actually. Come back, take the lead, and the Cowboys didn't fluster at all. Got the win, and Ezekiel Elliott is just a monster.
Well, so is Dak. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
30, 32, or 36.
Yep.
I mean, they should. I mean, I had Tampa Bay in the game. I took 7.5, and I took 7. I mean, everything worked out fine for me in that game. They lose the game by 6. But quite honestly, when you look at the stats, they should have lost by 20. I mean,
we have Bailey, of all people, missed 2 field goals.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate to win that, but I was unfortunate to lose with the Ravens and things like you get that kind of give and take when you're doing what we do. But Dallas doesn't need this game. They now have gotten them. They're very secure, but they are looking over their shoulder at the Giants, because if they would lose this game, it would be very detrimental should the Giants win their game.
Win out, yeah.
Yeah. So, because they've beaten them twice already.
Right.
So that's not a good situation for Dallas. I think they'll come focused, but they're not going to become 100% focused because they have a little bit of relaxation going on. Jerry Jones is stirring the soup down there, and he says he's doing it on purpose because he wants to keep everybody alive and well and talking about him, of course. But he does have a great situation, if you think about it. Depth at quarterback, there's nobody that I can think of that have 2 quarterbacks that can actually play. and win you some games. Dallas is in great shape. That offensive line, the running game, Dak Prescott 32 or 36 last week, doubled the yards against Tampa Bay almost. This is a great spot. I am not a big fan of Detroit at this moment. They're weak at the running game. They've been holding up. But there's a lot of teams out there that do that. They don't have great stats, but they come out with the victory. I think the line's too big. I would lean to the under in the game.
That's me too.
And I'd lean to the dog, but I'm not in love with it because I know that the quality on the field is definitely Dallas, but I do like the under a lot.
And we'll point out, by the way, the last 8 Detroit Lions games have all gone under the total.
Yes, they have.
So don't get in the way of a streak. Trying to break streaks, I don't like doing that.
Well, it's hard for teams, unless they have a prolific passing offense. It's hard to go over and score a lot of points unless you have a really good running game. But they don't have that. They don't run the ball well at all.
All right, good stuff. Now, if you want to get free plays each day on a recorded message from our Vegas experts, we have a toll-free number to call. It's 888-478-9222.
And you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Jim Feist Sports. And feel free to send me a direct message with any questions about the Vegas wagering scene.
All right, that's it. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next week, post-Christmas, with another edition of ProLine. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.